Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now, as the US Service representative for Bestech knives, I could literally produce all content for Bestech all the time and never cover anything else. And in fact, if you've been watching my channel, you realize I really don't post a ton about Bestech, but every now and then there's something very special that does require the attention of myself, my channel, and my viewers. And that's exactly what we have here today, a look at the Fairchild and the Buwaya, a couple of beautiful designs designed by the talented Kombou, manufactured by Bestech. Absolutely awesome. These are brand new models in the 2022 lineup, just released, hot off the press, and absolutely gorgeous. So today's video is not going to be like uber technical, sort of geeky folding knife talk. It's really going to be more about the general sort of impressions I have of these knives, where things are going with Bestech and Kombou, just looking at these in detail because they're beautiful, fantastic, and just incredibly detailed knives, a little bit forward thinking, and it's worth showing on my channel. And so as we get into this here, a couple of different variants. So first let's talk about the Buwaya. So B-U-W-A-Y-A. That's Buwaya. That actually is crocodile. So that literally means crocodile. So this is the BT2203. I have three different variants, the A, B, and D versions. So we're going to get these out, take a look at them in some detail. But then the Fairchild, modeled after a warplane. Very cool, an old prop plane, just a big beefy design. You'll see this is a large knife, really cool. So again, the Fairchild, I have two variants, so the BT2202A and B, and there are a number of other color combinations of each one of these. Just happen to be the ones I have here today, and really cool. So with that, let's spin the camera around and we'll take a look at these in detail. And so first here, we're going to take a look at the Buwaya. So this is an interesting knife. Now, as I unbox these, we'll start with A, then go to B, then to D. But again, a very interesting knife. In fact, this is one of Kombou's newest designs, yet his oldest design at the same time. And how could that possibly be? Well, the Buwaya started life as a custom knife built by BRR, a Polish knife maker. BRR Knives, a number of years ago, like at this point, over 6 years ago, the original Buwaya was actually manufactured and now being made by Bestech. This is Kombou's newest model. So the cool thing here is you're seeing Kombou's sort of oldest work, yet newest work at the same time. Now, Bestech has been sort of upping the ante just a little bit, adding a cool little sticker. So here you can see on the inside, just adding a sticker. This happens to be a Fairchild sticker. So there's a number of different ones that you may potentially get. But again here, this is the Buwaya. This is the colorway for the version A. And you can see a little bit of oil on here as we pull it out. I'm not going to get rid of all the factory oil, but we're just going to kind of show this off. Now here, the titanium here, this is going to be just incredibly detailed. Everything about this, just crazy amounts of detail, but very reminiscent of the original. And touching this up just a little bit here, just to get rid of some of the excess, as you take a look at the absolute incredible amount of machining, extreme attention to detail. Everything from the shape of the scales to the little cutouts, the chamfering, everything about this has extreme, painstaking amount of detail. Then on the back side here, you can see just beautifully done. Very, very cool. And remember, Buwaya means crocodile. So this kind of does look here like a sleeping crocodile. Getting to some action, very smooth. And you can see here just a really neat blade shape. Now what's going to catch your attention the most on the Buwaya is the real interesting lines as you look here. And this is very unique, just a real deep plunge here on that particular grind. You can see it's actually partway through the blade and it steps off. And that's going to do a couple things. I mean, first and foremost, an extreme design aesthetic, which is really neat. But of course, that's going to get in the way a little bit for some of your cutting tasks. This is more a showpiece. This is I'm not going to say an experiment by any means. It's certainly not an experiment, but it's an expression. It's an expression of just vision. It's an expression of design. And more than anything else, it's an expression of just what can be done on a very detailed and just precise level. So everything here extremely nicely done. And this full gray titanium here, you can see basically from the tip all the way to the back, that sort of lanyard hole slash almost like not a glass breaker, but it is an exposed pommel there. Pretty cool. So everything about this really very nicely done. Has that full back spacer integrated down into the lanyard hole and that pommel. Just really cool. Some jimping on the top. Beautifully done. And you can see here again the Buwaya 2203A. So the 2203A colorway being sort of more of that natural titanium. And so here the 2203B. So the B colorway. All the Bestech knives coming in pouches when they get into this sort of higher premium BT lineup. But here, very similar with a little bit of a color pop. So again, this is going to be more of that natural colored titanium. But on the back side here, you can see has that anodized green clip. So very similar, all the same design aesthetics, just adding a little bit of pop on the clip. And then on the back, you can see that back spacer into that exposed pommel and lanyard hole having a bit of that green as well. So very subtle, but at the same time adding just a little bit of pop and a little bit of flair. And then for me, the one that I'm the most intrigued, this here is the D variant. You're going to see, I think this is going to be pretty cool. At least I hope it is. It should be. And yes, here, this is in a really, really cool, and let's clean this one up a bit. Just this wild anodized green. It's like OD green and just badass. I love this. This screams my style. I love this color. And looking at the blade, boom, blacked out. This thing is awesome. And so here, this colorway, this is in green, again, almost like an OD green with undertones of just almost like a brassy titanium. You can see underneath, it's just got like a little bit of gold and really, really cool. The back spacer, that exposed pommel deep inside the cutout, it's not quite as, I would say, tumbled looking. There's like a little bit of a tumbled finish look to this. And inside there, it's just a little bit brighter inside the hole where it didn't get kind of quite so beat up from the tumbled process, just a little bit brighter. This finish is really neat, very unique, and I love it. And you can see accentuating, like here on the clip. If you look really close on the inside of that cutout, you can see, again, a little bit brighter. And in some of the tighter areas, a little bit brighter. So it creates a bit of a highlight in certain parts of this scale. I love this look. This Buwaya is just awesome. Now, just speaking to some of the last design aesthetics, extremely clean. As you take a look here, the only place you find markings is under here, the little relief cut there for that frame lock. You can see that's where it's thinned out to get that sort of motion on the frame lock. And inside there, the Bestech logo and Kombou's logo. Everything else extremely, extremely clean, with the one exception being, when you look right there, M390. So the M390 blade steel, the beautiful titanium, the wonderful finishes. This Buwaya is phenomenal. But turning the corner now to the Fairchild, the 2202A. Well, let's use the Buwaya to open up the Fairchild. And as we get into this here, Again, two variants, the A and the B. I encourage all of you, take a look at Neve's Knives, who's done a wonderful review of the Fairchild. He already got one of the variants sort of ahead of this particular release, and he's been working on producing content, including a preliminary review. So very nicely done by Neves. So again, the A variant. A lot of times with Bestech, the A variant is the standard titanium. So as we break it out here, this is going to be sort of the base color, the base platform. So as we break this out, you can see a large knife, very large overall, no flipper. So this is going to be, thumb deployment or finger flick. Nice detent and a very firm flick. Nice. Just a beefy blade. Look at it in regards to the Buwaya. And the Buwaya is not a small knife either. So again, the Fairchild, very large, unique cutouts, and has sort of that bomber look to it. Really cool, reminiscent of just sort of old school design with brand new modern lines. It's a great blend between old world and new world. Really, really cool. So again, taking a second just to clean this up a little bit. The factory oil, not a big deal. Glad that this comes, and it's not like dripping. It's just enough to keep everything protected, nicely lubricated for long-term storage and transit. But you can see here that awesome titanium, very subtle, but real deep inside, very faint. You can sort of see just a little bit of a real clean line all the way down. Very, very subtle. It's not like a micro pattern, but almost in a way. Just a subtle micro milling. You end up with the 3D embossed logo on the pivot. Beautiful little brass pivot collar. That nice deep blade. In this case, S35 VN steel. The blade has somewhat of a tumbled finish. On the back, you can see open to a reasonably sized lanyard hole, so really cool backspacer combo lanyard hole, but you don't really necessarily need that. You have a very large handle indexing well with a finger choil, so just a good sized and beefy overall design. A generous pocket clip with tons of clearance. You can see here this thing is very interesting and flares into the design, sort of meeting up with some of the cutouts, having cutouts on its own. Really cool. This has T8 hardware all the way around, so getting rid of the T6s entirely. A little bit of jimping on the top, and everything phenomenally crafted. Just nicely chamfered, feeling really good. Soft edges, no real hard or sharp edges anywhere on this. Just beautifully done. So the Fairchild here, just a beefy knife. Now, recently, because of the feedback on Neve's review, and people saying, man, I just wish there was a smaller version of this, I think we're going to see Kombou designing a miniature version, or at least a small version of this. I wouldn't say miniature because that's going to defeat the purpose, but this will probably be the standard size, and there may be a smaller offering in the future. But turning the corner here, let's get into the B colorway. Again, Bestech oftentimes sort of sticking to a theme. So let's see what we have here. With the B being similar, actually a little less bright, a little bit deeper and richer color, and a little more uniform. So the standard titanium here, you can see, this is going to be a little brighter, a little more, I would say maybe towards a gold sort of titanium. And this one here more towards a silver titanium. Looking at the fine details, this has more of a tumbled finish. So this is going to be a little more like a working knife. You can see the blade steel is similar, but again, not quite as bright. You get a little brighter here, a little deeper, a little darker on the B variant. Removing the brass for silver on that pivot collar. So again, the pivot collar there, just having a little bit of pop, but more of a silver, which matches in with your T8 hardware and then your pivot hardware. So again, this is going to be in the S35 VN steel. And here you can see Kombou's maker mark on this side and the Bestech logo on this side. So again, this is a large blade, very deep, nice and fitting perfectly in my hands. This is going to be a nice workhorse knife, but again, a little bit deeper on the blade, so it's not going to be quite as, I don't mean EDC friendly personally. I don't mind, a knife that's large for EDC. I actually kind of like it. And, I I'm never ever one to complain about size in my pocket. I really go for general quality, I go for style, I go for what I like, but more than anything, I go for functionality. And this knife is going to have a huge amount of functionality, and especially for some slightly more aggressive tasks, slightly larger, slightly sort of heavier duty tasks. This is a beefy blade, so very cool. So the Fairchild, really, really neat. And so again, today, not so much that nerdy, specs-driven video on the Fairchild, nor the Buwaya. There are plenty of great reviewers out there that are going to do that. From my perspective, kind of just a little bit of show and tell, getting these in front of you, some basic talking points, showing the beautiful imagination of Kombou, the incredible manufacturing of Bestech. Extremely well done. So in general, these are, again, brand new here, 2022, at the time of this release, just amazing. Going back to the Fairchild, that sort of old school look with the new school look kind of combined, really, really neat. And at the same time, the Buwaya being Kombou's oldest design and newest design at the same time. So for Kombou, well done, really incredible, great work. And for Bestech, always magnificent manufacturing. For all the rest of you, I hope you enjoyed that. I can highly recommend these knives. They are just gorgeous. And really, again, Kombou pushing the boundaries, pushing forward, and really trying to dig deep into the design element. And again, thank you very much to all of you for watching. If you like this content, do me a favor, take a look at my Outer Limitless 2 channel, which is more on the tactical and firearm side of things. At this point, that channel is growing quickly. I have a ton of video content up there. So if you like what you see here on Outer Limitless, do me a favor and check me out on Outer Limitless 2. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.